hope you're ready for some illogic, and welcome to the 8th season of the Wooper Club League, returning to the standard draft league format after a monotype / gym leader challenge format. In Season 7, we each controlled a gym and a 7-man offensive team and faced off against each other's gyms, ending with an 8-person offensive bracket, and the winner facing the 4 best defensive teams as the Elite Four challenge. I finished with the best defensive record and won all 8 of my offensive gym matches, but fell in the first round of the playoffs to eventual champion Chad, revenge for his defeat in the Seasons 2, 3, and most recently Season 6 finals. Congrats to Chad for finally winning a title, but we intend to take it right back this season. Same rules as previous seasons on this channel with a couple of key differences. We moved to a point-based system this season with 10 tiers ranging from 200 down to 20 in increments of 20, so we needed to grab 11 mons with 1100 points, averaging out to 100 points per mon. Also, after experimentation with D-Max for Tier 5s and G-Max without items, we have banned Dimaxing or Gigantamaxing entirely. The other thing of note is that this 8-week season has 12 coaches, meaning we will not be playing everyone in the regular season. We've got a couple new faces this time, multiple coaches who made the playoffs or Elite Four last season and wanted to try their hands at a more traditional format. The competition has gotten tougher for sure, and that means I can't really afford to be memeing around too much with things like a first round Tangela. Especially after losing the first round of the playoffs last season, I need to reestablish myself as the dominant force, or at least do the best I can. Let's move to the actual draft. We did a randomized order this time, rather than basing it off of prior standings, which means I wasn't stuck in the middle of the pack this time. Instead, I got the 11th pick out of 12, which might not seem great, but I was definitely excited for it. Only 1 or 2 of the 200-point mons really looked appealing, so everyone else grabbing them at the start justified me diving into the, quote, lower point options right away. At number 11, I had quite a few really neat options. I had Melmetal considered, Latios, Victini, Volcarona, Rillaboom, but the mon that I ended up settling on was the 180-point Zero Aura. You know that I love electric types in Draft League. What better option than one with 143 speed and tons of versatility to start off the draft? Physical coverage with Plasma Fist, Play Rough, Knockoff, Close Combat, and Blaze Kick, with setup using Bulk Up. Special coverage with the ever-important Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Aura Sphere, and Grass Knot with Calm Mind for setup. 112 and 102 attacking stats and enough bulk that I can invest in it and set up move to become tanky, and so many item options. Don't need Scarf for that speed, but Assault Vest, Choice Band, Choice Specs, Shuckleberry for its single weakness, Leftovers, Boots, Magnet, Expert Belt. Very good, very versatile mon that will be good in literally any matchup. So I'm excited to use something so fast and so customizable. Definitely something that I can build around. My next pick was, well, a little motivated by revenge. There were a couple months I was rather adamant about moving in the points, and one of the major points of debate was the Latios versus Latias debate. Most see Latios as just straight up better, with Latias having less special attack and its only niche being Healing Wish. However, having suffered my worst draft league loss, mostly in part to a Roost 3 attack Life Orb Latias, I knew it was strong and deserved 180 points that implied a Tier 1 status. However, it ended up dropping to 160 points, and if I feel that's a bargain, why wouldn't I jump on that? Latias provides a ground immunity to pair with Zero Aura and ridiculous special bulk. Zero Aura may be versatile, but more often than not, it will be going on the physical side, meaning Latias' special attack status is very important to balance the team out a bit. And look at the coverage! Psychic or Psyshock, Draco Meteor, or consistent Dragon Pulse, Mystical Fire, and Aura Sphere are new this gen to help tremendously. Surf, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, or Grass Knot. Wow, literally anything I need, not to mention Calm Mind, Baton Pass for momentum, Earthquake to hit surprisingly on the physical side, Recover for longevity, Screens, Thunderwave, Wish, Trick, Defog for hazards, Toxic, and of course Healing Wish. Crazy. Back that up with 110 speed, and we're looking at some truly disgusting possibilities. Very excited about these first 2 picks. Now, 180 and 160 are a good amount of points to spend right away. Not the most, but not cheap by any means. So my next 2 picks dipped down at least a little bit in points to a couple ones I thought were great values. And we're going to be starting that off with the 120-point Cobalion. My Steel type, 2/3 of the way to the Fantasy Core, provides Stealth Rock support for the first time in the draft, Volt Switch Momentum, the second user, another Taunt user with Zero Aura, good physical offensive presence, not to mention a valuable resist to many important types I don't have resistances to yet, such as Rock, Dark, and Ice. Coverage includes Close Combat or Sacred Sword, Iron Head, Thunderwave, Swords Dance, Megahorn, Poison Jab, X-Scissor, Stone Edge, Toxic, Rock Polish, maybe even Magnet Rise, Its attacking stats actually aren't that impressive, but it's bulkier than most think, faster than you might think of 108, and the typing utility moves make it so valuable in my eyes. It can run Taunt, Stealth Rock, Volt Switch, and a stab move every week and just do its job super well. Let's continue that momentum train. I was the one to propose Obstagoon move down to 100 points, but as I looked at it more and more, I think 100 points may actually be a great deal for Goon. Another Ghost and Dark resist / immunity for Latias. Goon also takes advantage of Latias being a great fighting type switch in while providing opportunities for it to come in by breaking walls or using Parting Shot to get out, or even Switcheroo to burn something. Obstagoon is pretty well known for its Gut stat, obliterating foes with Stab Knockoff, Stab Body Slam, or Double Edge, which can be used with a Reckless set, Close Combat, Gunk Shot, Seed Bomb, X-Scissor, Iron Tail, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Shadow Claw. Bulk Up is really the only setup option, which can truly break teams and boost up that surprisingly good defense stat when I don't have to use that Gut set. Parting Shot to pivot around, Switcher to give a burn to something after you finish activating Guts, Counter to once again take advantage of the surprising physical bulk, yet another taunt user to shut down Stall, and the signature move Obstruct to punish physical attackers with a sharp defense drop. Surprisingly versatile, Obstagoon can break holes through teams not prepared for the base 95 speed, and the stupid power backed by Guts, or grabbing a Defiant boost in another of its abilities that people do not think of. At this point in the draft, I think I planned out the rest of my picks. Yes, I went for the rest of my high tier picks right here, but luckily my low tier picks that I wanted remained safe from sniping, so I think this ended up working out pretty well. We'll spend a good bit talking about the next two picks as they round out the top of the team really well. For 160 points, I grabbed Tapu Bulu as a grass type, fairy type, and grassy terrain setter. Yeah, we're going for a terrain this time to help supplement the Zero Aura pick, whose only weakness is ground, the Cobalion who's weak to ground, and the Obstagoon whose burn can be nullified by terrain, and none of which use Earthquake. With 2 Volt Switchers, spoiler alert, 3 by the end of the draft, opponents may be tempted to bring their ground types to block it. But how are you going to follow up on that when I've got Grassy Terrain going? That's the idea of synergy on the team, not to mention the fighting resist and completion of the Dragon Steel Fairy core, plus the beginning of an otherwise budget Fire Water Grass core. Lots of bulk yet again, and the potential for Choice Band, Choice Scarf off 75 base speed, Assault Vest, Leftovers paired with the Grassy Terrain, and things like Leech Seed or Substitute, Type Resist Berries, Grassy Seed on this or anything else on the team. Lots to complement its coverage, which, even without Play Rough, which Zero Aura does get, features Wood Hammer or Hornleech for Grass, Zen Headbutt, Meghorn Nature's Madness, Rock Slider Stone Edge, Close Combat, Darkest Lariat, Smart Strike, and High Horsepower, plus a usable special attack stat for Dazzling Gleam, Energy Ball or Grass Knot, Focus Blast, and surprisingly stored power. Set up from Bulk Up, Swords Dance, Iron Defense, or Calm Mind, access to Disable, Screens, and once again Taunt, not to mention Synthesis and Toxic. Seriously a good one, great compliment to the team, something I will continue to synergize with immediately, because the next pick is the 140-point Nidoking. It's absolutely perfect partner. Increasing ice weakness aside, Nidoking gives me a ground type that first and foremost does not need to use Earthquake and Grassy Terrain to get full power, thanks to sheer force Earth power, getting benefit from it from Grassy Terrain by recovery and its Earthquake weakness. It also balances me out with another primarily special attacker, though can easily run physical or mixed, and gives a necessary poison type on the ground that can absorb T-Spikes and resist fairies that my steel type Cobalion does not. Stealth Rock and T-Spikes access help tremendously too, and gives me yet another way to deal with the dangerous electric types that tend to roam the format. Meghorn, Poison Jab, Earth Power, Element Punches, Rock Slide, Flamethrower, Surf, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Earthquake, Fire Blast, Outrage, Iron Tail, Shadow Ball, Superpower, yet another taunt user, Focus Blast, Throat Chop, Sludge Wave, Head Smash, Sucker Punch, Aqua Tail, Focus Punch, everything you would ever need for it. Really good mon, great synergy with the team. Okay, so that was fun. We've got our top mons by point value. Now it's time to fill in a couple of necessary pieces with very few points. One thing that got me worried was grabbing a good fire type, but instead I ended up grabbing Flareon with 40 points. I'm only kidding a little bit, because Flareon does have quite a few really good attributes, particularly its surprising special bulk and power, plus access to a couple of key moves. Synergistically, it's a good fairy and ice resist while taking advantage, once again, of grassy terrain. Flash Fire can give me a fire immunity and a check to those strong special attackers, but Guts, like with Obstagoon, can simply wreck teams even with limited coverage. Of course, a defensive set might work wonders too, trading Flare Blitz, Facade, Dig, Iron Tail, Quick Attack, and Superpower for options like Wish or Heal Bell, and special attacking moves like Overheat, Shadow Ball, Mystical Fire, Scorching Sands, or Lava Bloom. Curse is a neat setup move, Yon can force switches effectively, Will-O-Wisp for more status and help the physically defensive burden. Baton Pass can get the Wish to something safely. Toxic is surprisingly good at the defensive set. And Reflect can be used to patch up that physical defense weakness. It's more malleable and versatile than many give it credit for, and even as the slowest mon thus far at 65, it has some cool options to let it serve different roles. Despite the grassy terrain, I did still want to make sure that I got some ground immunities aside from Latias, and the ghost typing that comes from Rotom seems to me quite valuable in helping out things like Obstagoon from otherwise harmful fighting cover, not to mention a spin blocker. The original Rotom does not have the bulk of the others, but the bump in speed up to 91 is nice, and Will-O-Wisp can still make it a pseudo-tank when investing in HP. Lots of utility available here too, with my third Volt Switcher for Momentum, Thunderwave, Hex, Trick, Discharge, Screens, Thunderbolt, Stab, Shadow Ball, Foul Play, Pain Split, Toxic, my all-important second defogger after Latias, and the newly introduced Nasty Plot, which can make the very good neutral coverage that much scarier. Base 91 speed is great too, even as the slowest Volt Switcher on the squad, and very excited to use my fourth different Rotom form. Now I've got a little bit of wiggle room, because we took these two 40-point picks. I think I'm lacking a little bit of oomph, some raw power outside of boosted attacks from things like Bulu or Nidoking, know what I mean? I also have a pretty bad ice weakness and want a reason for my opponents to fear my lower tiers. I really like the ice cream cone here, and it 80 points. Vanillish seemed like a great idea. I'll just show it now because I picked up a mini Hail Core here too. My follow-up pick is the 60-point Arctivish. We can talk a bit about both together. The mini Hail Core is another reason why I wanted that Ghost-type Rotom for the fighting immunity, because I know that otherwise it's a problem for these two plus other picks. But seriously, the power output from these two is crazy. Not only do you have to worry about my top 6 mods point-wise, but after that are these two, which can wreck teams individually or together. Vanillish has strong stab, blizzards, and freeze dry to hit water types, meaning only sturdy ice types, which don't exist, and steel types can resist the onslaught. Some of my huge threats like Zeraora, Cobalion, Nidoking, and Arctivish can definitely rip through those steels to help support it. And how can I help get them in? Vanillish may not have momentum, but it can grab Aurora Veil as an option, with Icy Rock to extend Hail or Light Clay for the Veil. Not to mention Nevermelt Ice, Choice Specs, and Choice Scarf is great options too. Other move options are admittedly lacking, but with yet another taunt user though. Acid Armor, Mirror Coat, Flash Cannon, and Ice Shard, but Ice is such a good offensive type, I'm really not concerned. The amount of times I click anything but Blizzard, Freeze Dry, or Aurora Veil are limited. Lots of power and the ability to chip the opponent or go even with Grassy Terrain is incredible. Arctivish, on the other hand, gets access to Slush Rush, which doubles speed in Hail. With this, I can achieve the speed tier even above Zeraora if desired, forcing even more plus speed natures to outspeed my threats and giving credence to running Vicious Rend as a House Wrecker. Now, it's easy to say Arctivish is a one-trick pony, that I'm not running it without Vanillish, and all it does is click Vicious Rend. There's some truth to that, but I can also run things, I can run things like Rest, Sleep, Talk, Vicious Rend. There's more here, to be honest. Choice Band, Vicious, sure, Scarf to help get the secondary effect. It's another Freeze Dry user, another Aurora Veil user. Super Fang is a cool option. Crunch, Icicle Crash, Rock Slide, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, Blizzard, Zen Headbutt, Psychic Fangs, even a cheeky Meteor Beam. And the stat spread is quite surprising. Lots of bulk that can be supplemented by an Assault Vest to make this into the bulky water type that I'm missing to complete the Fire, Water, Grass core. Again, very budget. The ability to go physical or special, enough coverage to be very threatening, 60-point mon. Very cool core, a whole new element to the team with the mini Hail team. And then with my final 20 points, I selected Cramorant. Now, before you start laughing, there's some merit to this. Aside from being my third ground immunity, a number I will always want to reach, and a third defogger, a number that I always want to reach, it's another water type to help back up Arctivish in that department. And primarily special attacking 1-2 to complement Vicious Rend. It can pack quite a bit of bulk if invested, and its ability makes up for the damage output with 1/4 of the opponent's health going down hitting Cramorant after a surf. That is a lot. Endure sets seem cheeky, but have quite a bit of merit and truth, and combined with the base 85 special attack and speed, it can actually put in some work. Hurricane, Surf, Icy Beam, Icy Wind, Endure, Roost, I don't need too much more than that, honestly. I could see Cramorant being worth as much as, gosh, maybe even 40 points, so I'm pretty happy to have something usable from the 20-point bin. Well, I mean, there's the list. Just a little bit of a rock weakness, but that's entirely contained within the lower tiers. The ice weakness is more concerning, as Vanillish, Flareon, and Arctivish aren't exactly the first things you think of when you say sturdy, but I think they could definitely put in a good amount of work. I love the speed tiers, too. Arctivish and Hail, Zeraora at 143, Latias at 110, and Cobalion at 108, Obscure 95, Rotom 91, Nidoking and Cramorant 85, Vanillish 79, Bulu 75, Flareon 65, Arctivish at 55. Aside from that Zero Order Latios gap, there's a pretty constant flow from one tier to the next. Again, going to force some awkward EVing with speed tiers to like. Pretty happy split between physical and special, great base stats all around with good bulk, and maybe the fastest team I've ever run, even faster than Season 4 of the league where my average speed was 86, which does admittedly lead to a bit of trick room weakness. Only a couple mistypings, rock and bug, decent hazards with 2 good rockers, a T-spiker and 3 defoggers, lots of taunt users, some knockout potential, great coverage all around, raw power, unpredictability, bulk, though not that much recovery aside from a couple wishers and heal bell, and great synergy focused around my top tier threats, Grassy Train and Hail. I'm definitely happy with the team I've drafted. I think Obscune is the only one of these I've ever used in draft before, so lots of new faces. High expectations for the season. We'll see you in week 1 of the season where we have a grudge match against Zach and his Summit County Psyducks. See ya.